there's agreed upon set of performance skills that are habits that this whole building, players, staff, coaches, everybody agreed upon. And then there's relational habits that everybody's agreed upon that we feel like we need to emphasize every single day, that we need to get reps at in order to create the reality that we want, which becomes our culture. So that's been a huge emphasis. Just like we install offense, defense, special teams, we've got to install these habits as well.
I don't know exactly what Boise State is calling their pre-practice hype circle, but it is quickly becoming a hallmark of the Andy Avalos era. It is new, it is awesome, and it is authentic. It seems to push player accountability, and it gives the leaders on the team a voice. Welcome on into Jay's Sports Bar. I'm your host, Jay Tuss, and it is time to talk football here in the City of Trees. We are under 150 days from kickoff between Boise State and UCF, and this weekend, Boise State will host their annual spring scrimmage. Up to 6,300 fans will be in attendance. Initially, that number included 4,300 season ticket holders, members of the Bronco Athletic Association, and guests of football staff, as well as student athletes. Another 700 tickets were made available to the general public, and 800 more spots were reserved up in the Stucco Sky Center for certain fans. This will easily be the largest contingency of people to watch the Broncos live here in Boise since December 2019, when Boise State hosted Hawaii in the Mountain West Conference Championship game. That was a little under 500 days ago. Head coach Andy Avalos says he really appreciates the efforts of the support staff for making this happen, while senior defensive lineman Scaly Gahan says that he can't wait to look up in the stands and see fans on Saturday.
We want to start too by saying and giving a special shout out to the leadership on campus, to Jeremiah Dickey and really the local health officials as well for letting us have this spring game and bringing Bronco Nation back into the stadium. And this is a big deal. This is a huge deal, not only in the sense of football, but in the sense of bringing people back together, getting back to whatever the new normal is, and getting people back at sporting events. That's exciting. Not only, again, from the stance of football, but in terms of our community and us as a university and a community working together.
I have to admit, I'm pretty excited for Saturday as well. Due to COVID-19 protocols, only 2 practices have been open to myself and the rest of the media so far this spring. Andy Avalos has made players readily available, though, to talk with us via Zoom, which has been really appreciated. On Wednesday, we did get the chance to sit in on practice, though. One welcome sight, the return of senior wide receiver Khalil Shakir. The team leader in both catches and yards from a year ago is working his way back from off-season foot surgery and hamstring injury. Prior to practice, Avalos was asked which players have really stood out to him this spring. On offense, he acknowledged wide receivers Stephon Cobbs and Billy Bowens, along with offensive lineman Keikani Okoa Halamalia Gonzalez. On defense, Avalos continues to praise the play of interior linemen Scott Matlock and Scaly Gahan. He also called safeties Tyreek Jones and J.L. Skinner, quote, difference makers. Then there are the quarterbacks, led by senior Jack Sears and junior Hank Bachmeier. Avalos was eager to praise the entire position group, citing their attitude and effort to influence excellence off the field so they can thrive on it.
I know we want to talk about the quarterback situation, and those guys are doing awesome. Hank, Jack, the whole crew's doing awesome. And it starts with this, okay? It doesn't start with how they execute on the field. It doesn't start with their completion percentage, touchdown to interception. It starts with their leadership. It starts with their leadership off the field, how they're bringing guys together, how they're building confidence within each other to work together when we get on the field together. And they're doing a really good job at that stuff. And we're excited to continue, to build those relationships, because when we get on the field, then it allows us to operate, it allows us to compete together. And that's really where it starts at the quarterback position, and how those guys are competing on the field, more importantly, how they're working together. And we're extremely proud of that whole group.
You know, Avalos has continued to say that this QB competition won't conclude in spring. On Saturday, though, I'm curious to see the rotation. Which QB goes first? Is that any indication as to who currently leads this quarterback competition? I will say this, Bachmeier has the most experience. He started 13 games over the last 2 seasons, throwing for 3,029 yards, 15 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions with a 138.5 QB efficiency rating. Meanwhile, the sample size on Sears is small, but it's impressive. In 2 career starts, one at USC and one at Boise State, he's completed 77% of his passes for 515 yards, 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and has a QB efficiency rating of 201.6. So while that competition will linger into the fall, on Saturday we will get a glimpse at the new offense under the direction of new offensive coordinator Tim Plough. Avalos has had a front row seat as he's watched this thing evolve over the last month, and one thing he told fans is that they can expect a different pace of play.
There's a certain tempo that's a little different, you know. There's a tempo that is certainly different. There's an opportunity to play at different speeds, to go and execute at a different speed that we consistently haven't in the past. There is not as much substituting in and out. We're going, and when we're in it, we're going. Regardless of what personnels, we have the ability to use multiple personnels within certain tempos and keeping guys on the field. Think we'll see an explosive offense with precision, and that's really what we're working on. Obviously, we want to keep growing the precision as it's a new offense, and that comes through reps, that comes through creating confidence and fundamentals and techniques to execute, and obviously the timing within. We still have the motions, we still have the shifts that the defenses are going to have to prepare for, but it's at a faster pace.
I think fans are going to be really excited to see this new offense. I think they're also going to be excited about this next piece of news. You know, one of the cooler things that you'll likely notice at the spring scrimmage is the presence of alumni. Approximately 100 former players are returning to the City of Trees this weekend to support what Avalos has affectionately tabbed the Brotherhood.
You have 100 alumni coming back. Who's organized this effort?
Providing the opportunity for guys to come back, and not just to come watch practice, but interact. Those guys teach us things when they come back. They teach us, and we're there for them when they need us as well. We want our brothers to come back and be a part of this as much as possible. Obviously, we're working through all the protocols and things like that, but how exciting is that? Through the protocol, the people that do get the hall pass is our Brotherhood, the former alumni, and they've been able to come to practices. It's inspiring for our current players and our current coaches. It is also very beneficial to always have a reminder of who we are, where we've come from, and what it's going to take.
4 specific alumni will serve as honorary team captains on Saturday. Super Bowl 51 champion Shea McClellan and Cardinals linebacker Tanner Vallejo will lead the defense, while Vikings running back Alexander Madison and Panthers center Matt Paradis will lead the offensive attack. Earlier this week, I caught up with Dice to talk about the Broncos, football, and life on the farm out in Council.
Matt Paradis, how is preparing for year number 8 in the NFL, and did you ever imagine that you would be doing this? I mean, this is one heck of a run you've had.
It's going great. I'm fired up. I'm ready to get back to it. I'm kind of bored. Get bored in the off seasons anymore, but no, I had looking back, I didn't put that much thought into it that I was going to even play in the pros as a kid. Even though as a goal, it's kind of one of those goals that you don't ever really know if it's realistic or not, but here we are, year 8. I'm fired up. I'm feeling great. I'm ready to roll.
What's the body feel like after you've played 8 years in the NFL?
Well, I don't know if this is the norm, but I feel amazing. I feel great. So I don't know if that's the standard, but you know, you just got to take care of your body. There's a lot of things you got to be aware of, and it's kind of a year-round deal. But yeah, I kind of enjoy it, and it's a lot of fun.
A couple of years ago, you made the decision to sign with the Carolina Panthers. How have you viewed your time with Carolina, and kind of a big season coming up for you in terms of your contract?
For sure, yeah. Last year, my contract. I'm excited. Seasons haven't gone the way we wanted to the last 2 years, but I really believe in this team and the direction that we are heading and the weapons we've got. And man, it's just a matter of I'm so excited to get this team together, hopefully this spring, and start building that team towards this season. I'm very excited about what we can get done and what this year could be for us.
Matt, how do you learn about the transactions that the Panthers make? Because they've been busy at a number of positions. So do you kind of find out on social media, or how do you find out?
And I feel like half the time someone in the media texts me and says, "What do you think about this?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" With the trade for Sam Darnold, my mom told me. I was like, what was I doing? She told me. I was like, "No, Mom, we didn't get a new quarterback." I was like, "Well, what did it say?" She said, "I'm like, oh, okay, you're right." It's kind of funny how that all turned out. Not that I don't pay attention. Obviously, I do pay attention, but the info gets to me. I'm not like I don't have alerts on Rappaport or Chapter trying to be the latest up to date with the news, but you just kind of usually you find out by a text from a media guy. I feel like.
Matt, after all these years, why do you still come back to Idaho in the off season to train?
Why wouldn't I, man? Look at all Idaho has to offer. I train at off the field there in Meridian. It's a great gym, and Taylor Bateman's the guy there. Great trainer. Love it here. I love everything Idaho has to offer, man. I'm Idaho through and through, and we don't have any pro teams here, so I have to go somewhere else to play. It's really how you should term that.
We all know your background. You're raised on a farm, essentially. I'm curious. After all these years in the NFL, you look back. What is the best job on the farm, and then what is the straight up worst job on the farm?
Best job on the farm. I'm thinking there's nothing like a farming on a spring day, like right when it's getting nice out there farming, the weather's getting nice. Worst job is hard. There was some tough jobs. Stacking hay wasn't especially hard, but once you get to the top of the stack and you're dealing with the roof because you're trying to stack it up as high as you can, that sucks. You hit your head a bunch and it's very hot. That tin is just baking in the sun. That's a rough time, but I don't know, man. It's all good stuff. It's all good work.
You look at your alma mater, the Boise State football program. What do you think of the move that they made this season once Brian Harsin left in hiring Andy Avalos?
Yeah, I think it was a great move. I knew who Coach Avalos was, obviously following Boise State as a kid. And then he coached at Boise State. I think it was at least 1 year when I was there, if not more. I'm not sure exactly, but I think he's a great coach, and I'm fired up. I think he's going to do a great job, and fired up for the team, and excited to watch him on Saturday.
What has his outreach been like to you specifically, and just the alumni in general? Because there's going to be over 100 of you back at the spring game, which, given all the circumstances, seems pretty darn impressive.
Yeah, with COVID and everything, that's hard to get done. And his outreach has been great, and I mean that's an important part of a program. One, it lets the guys that are playing right now know, hey, when you're gone, you're still a part of this. So I think it's a great thing, and he's done a great job, and it's been a very positive thing.
What's your role going to be on Saturday? It sounds like you're an honorary captain. What exactly does that entail? Are they let you call any plays or anything like that?
I'm not aware of any special responsibilities that may come along with it, but maybe they'll find something. I don't know. Nothing that I'm aware of. I think it's I don't know.
You look back at the era that you were here, Dice, and I was going back and looking over some numbers last night. There were 42 offensive linemen taken the year that you were selected, and you and Charles Leno Jr. went in the final 2 rounds of the NFL draft. When it comes to games played, both of you guys are in the top 12. You've been extremely durable and consistent throughout your careers. What allowed you guys to achieve at the level that you have in the NFL coming out of Boise State?
There's no one answer. The injury thing is there's a lot of luck involved there, Charles and myself have both had different injuries over our careers, and you miss some games, and just kind of is what it is. But we've been pretty lucky. But it goes back to what I was saying earlier about taking care of your body year round, training the right way. And I mean, that's a year round commitment. You can't show up in July and just expect to, and I'm not saying the guys do that, but you've got to be in shape, and it's a 24/7 commitment to being healthy. It takes a full year to stay healthy for 17 or 16 games over 17 weeks. I guess we're doing 17 games this year.
Yeah.
So it's not easy. And then on the other side, you got to play well. Like you got to be on your game and locked in and mentally and physically. And it's a battle every week, but it's one that when it comes to longevity, so far Charles and I have been winning at. Knock on wood, we'll just plan on continuing that.
You started on the defensive line, right?
Yeah.
And then you made the move. Now I'm going back and I'm thinking about some of the linemen on the defensive side that you're probably mixing it up with, and that would have been like Tyrone Crawford, Billy Wynn, Shea McClellan.
Yeah.
What was it like competing with those guys? And was that group so good at the time that did that have anything to do with you switching sides of the ball and finding playing time?
Yeah, 100% it did. It was a great room, man. Had a great time. I did not want to switch when Chris Strasser and Coach Kwiatkowski brought it to me, and I did not want to switch. I thought I could contribute on the D line, and maybe I could have, but I would have had a very low ceiling as compared to what I've been able to achieve as an offensive lineman. And it took them 6 months to wear me down probably before I committed to the switch, but I still have great relationships with those D linemen, man. Like Kyrie's the coach now. Like we came in together as D linemen. Ricky Chongachu, I'm hanging out with him. Billy Wynn, we signed him in Denver when I was still there. And like, it wasn't just we were college teammates though. We were in the same position group, like for a while at least. So it's pretty cool.
That's crazy. I mean, if that room wasn't so talented, I'm not selling your talent short, Dice, but like who knows what would have happened with you?
I owe my career to the people who got me to switch to offensive line. So they know who they are. and yes, I'm very thankful for them.
Guys, let's diversify for a second here. I know that when there was a little controversy going on with Robinhood a few months back, I saw you're not very active on social media, by the way, or at least Twitter, but I saw you had some opinions about that. Why did you feel so strongly, and how did it affect you?
Well, I feel like first off, you have to give the disclaimer, like this is not financial advice, right? But I mean, I'm investing oriented. My degrees are in economics and finance. Like I like the stock market. I like to pay attention to that stuff. And I have a Robinhood account. I had a Robinhood account, and I wasn't investing in GameStop when all that stuff was going on, but it just like all that stuff went down. It's like, oh yeah, you guys can just halt trading for whatever reason you want. I don't know. It just was very hypocritical to me, and I did not appreciate that. What's supposed to be an open platform could actually end up limiting. Well, that's true. This is not an open platform, and to me, it's like, well, it's kind of I don't know. I'm not going to go too far into my opinions on it, but it's not a platform. I don't use platforms if they're going to possibly restrict trades for me. So not that, like I said, I wasn't in on that craze anyways. I'm not like a day trader. I'm not trying to like game the system, but I wasn't thrilled with that hypocrisy on their part.
You brought this up, recently the NFL basically added a game to your guys' schedule. I also saw something where I don't know if this is finalized or not, but instead of paying you guys solely for 17 weeks, they're now spreading that out over 36 weeks, I believe. So from a football perspective, what does that extra game do for you? And using your financial background, does it make any bit of difference to you and maybe your teammates that they're now spreading that money out over a wider range of time?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, 17, start there, 17 games.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it's going to be an adjustment. I know a lot of the older players aren't thrilled about it, but it just kind of is what it is. I'm not going to sit here and say it's like, I don't think that it's going to be a terrible thing for football. Like there's more football games. I think that's going to be a good thing for the sport, but with that, like you got to prepare your bodies more. That's another game, another stress, another opportunity for injury. So it's another risk, but we're still playing football. The whole thing is a risk. And then the pay structure. I get why they did that. I was not a supporter of that policy. Generally, we get paid for the 17 weeks, and if I've earned that money personally, I want it as soon as I can get it. But the thought process they were doing was this would spread out the income over the course of the season, and it's hard for guys to learn budgeting. You come out of college, in my scenario in college, never had any money. Like, you get that first paycheck and you get paid, and you just think you're going to get paid for 52 weeks. Well, it stops after 17 weeks. I don't want to say guys were struggling, but guys weren't budgeting properly. So this is a way to kind of defer some income. Like I said, it's not how I would prefer to get my salary, but that wasn't my decision. So
Gotcha.
if it was my decision, I would get it over 17 weeks.
Why does that work for you? I don't know if that's too personal to ask. No worries there, but just why does that work for you?
In the financial argument, it's the time value of money. If it's your money, the sooner you get it, the sooner you can put it to work for yourself. If instead I have to wait another 18 weeks for it, then it's making money for the owners or whoever else still has it. It's not making money for me for another 18 weeks. So you're losing 18 weeks of whatever investment gains or whatever could arise in that 18 weeks. That's not a small amount of time.
That's an interesting way to look at it. We'll get
time value of money.
Yeah. I can see the financial background, Matt. Like, I can see it now. I understand. I'll get you out of here on this one. But how much have you just enjoyed all of this? The being from Idaho, growing up in Council, and defying all odds to be closing in on the better half of a decade in professional football player. I mean, does that ever like hit you like that is pretty incredible, or are you just too like lost in the moment?
I don't know, man. It is incredible, but I kind of just live in the moment, man. It's a dream. I mean, I literally get to play a children's game for my livelihood, and I love, like, every day I love going to work. Like, and it's literally like I'm literally living the dream, man. I'm having a great time, and wouldn't want to be doing anything else.
I really appreciate Matt Paradis for taking some time to chat with us here on the Sports Bar this week. And, that decision he made, by the way, in college to move from the defensive line to the offensive line was probably about a $30 million decision when you look at what he's been able to earn throughout his NFL playing career. And hopefully that number goes up. As Matt said, a contract year coming up for him with the Carolina Panthers. Hey, I want to leave you today with just kind of a fun story. The Boise State football team currently has one Canadian-born football player on its roster. Late last season, stud Isaiah Bagnah was forced into a larger role after injuries and COVID-19 protocols decimated the defensive line. Isaiah finished second on the Broncos in sacks last year, which included a team-high 3 during the month of December alone. Now, due to COVID-19, Isaiah has not been able to go up north of the border and visit his family in over a year. That's something that his teammates here in the States noticed. I want you to enjoy this interview, enjoy the spring game, and I will see you next week here on Jay's Sports Bar, serving the Idaho sports community.
Isaiah, there haven't been a ton of Canadians to come through the Boise State football program. The ones that have been successful, guys like Tyrone Crawford or Mike Atkinson, specifically up front. Did you pay attention to their careers at all, and do they serve as motivation to you?
Yeah, for sure. I remember I looked at dudes like Tyrone Crawford and, seeing how much of an impact he made here at Boise State coming out of Canada. That was a big thing for me, something that I can look up to as in high school. And when I really started taking football seriously as a kid, I really looked towards guys like that. The amazing things that he did here to set him up to be in the NFL, that's the dream, right? And so I've always had that in my mind, looking at guys like that.
Have you ever had the chance to interact with him at all?
I actually have not yet. No, I have not. But I hope soon I will be able to. For sure.
I'm sure you'll have a nice icebreaker if you ever get to do that. How much pride do you take in being a Canadian that is playing down here in the States? And I mean, how hard is it to get recruited out of there? And I do see on social media, a lot of your teammates seem to have fun with it, whether they call you Canadian bacon or do it for Canada, things like that. So how much kind of pride do you take in that?
You know, it's a really big deal to me, and you know, back home, it's a big deal to the people in my community. It shows just the hard work and effort put in, but you know, that is true. My teammates do have a fun time bugging me, but it's all just fun and jokes, of course. You know, it is a big deal for sure.
It's been an interesting year where, I mean, a lot of people haven't seen family for a long time, but when is the last time you were able to go up north and maybe see some family? Because I believe it's probably been challenging due to COVID.
Yeah, you know, with COVID, the Canadian borders have been closed ever since, you know, lockdowns happened back last year in March. So I haven't had the opportunity to go home since Christmas break of my freshman year. But I've had opportunities to spend my breaks, my Christmases, you know, with my teammates, you know, my family away from home, all those guys. And it's just a big family, you know, and they take care of me for it.
How much has that meant to you that some of them have opened their arms and offered you that?
Yeah, you know, it means the absolute world to me. You know, it shows how much love and passion we all have for each other. I've had the opportunity to go down to Raleigh, California with Casey Klein. I've had the opportunity to go to Yorba Linda with Michael Callahan. I've actually been to Fruitland, Idaho with Tyler Gurn, especially. He's my roommate stuff. We took in a few trips up there, but yeah, you know, it's just a big old family we got here.